Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to read for you a little quote that I feel that I heavily resonate with, and I'm hoping that all of you could resonate with too. Who am I? I'm just a dreamer, a hopeful romantic, unsupervised within a world of eyes, fighting for what lies beyond appearances, trying to find my way to somewhere I belong. By Joshua Ryan Stewart. Now, think about what that means for you. Because for me, it means our dream world. And that is where I'm going with this next video, which is titled INFP, the Dreamer. I'd like to start off by briefly talking about my childhood and being an INFP in my childhood. I have always felt like I have been an INFP. I mean, even without knowing it, I have always been that kind of creative, quiet, shy kid who'd just be there in the background working on this magnificent masterpiece. Often getting caught up in my dream world, of course, through primary school and a junior high school, which in New Zealand's called intermediate. My reports had come back saying that, Alex tends to go off into this dream world of hers and is often distracted but is immensely creative and, along those lines. Every kid loves a good story, and, nursery rhymes are a really good go-to, or Dr. Seuss. I have such a soft spot for Dr. Seuss. But my all-time favourite story as a child, bedtime story, was The Hobbit, which my dad had read to me when I was about 6 or 7 years of age. And I don't know, there was just something about The Hobbit that really stuck out to me as a kid. The way that my dad described Gollum, for instance, it was just the way that I pictured him was so surreal and almost in the same depiction as how Peter Jackson had created him. And yeah, every bit of the story, every chapter, I felt like I was in the story and it had such meaning to me. The same thing happened when my mum had read me the story called Beyond the Blue Mountains. And Beyond the Blue Mountains had the same kind of vibe as The Hobbit. So I'd often feel really drawn towards these adventure stories, these stories that weren't based on Earth, based in different worlds that had mythical creatures. So yeah, I often as a kid found myself drawn to that kind of setting. As I grew, I think the INFP in me grew as well. I remember as a 12-year-old, I started to find my niche within fine art, and I would often lock myself away in my room and just draw for the entire day. And, my parents were quite worried about me at this time, being adolescent and everything, but I knew that there was nothing for them to worry about, and I just knew that I needed that space and that quiet time to work on my projects and express myself in artistic ways. There was another instance of me, a little bit younger. I'm not sure if any of you guys have watched the anime Card Captors. It was something I just run home to after school and sit in front of the TV and watch. So yeah, basically there's the main character has to collect all these cards, and they're magical cards, and they come to life, and so she has to go through these battles trying to capture them all and kind of keep them contained within the deck. I had got given these particular cards, and I ended up transforming all of them into tarot cards. I don't know why, but I started to create all these meanings behind each individual card, even though it may not have had that meaning in the first place. Now, I only got about a quarter of the way through, typical INFP behavior, never finishing anything really. But yeah, no, that was something else that, as a kid I did. Into high school, I feel that I had gained a lot of INFP interests, such as mythology. I was very much interested in the Norse, Egyptian, and Greek gods. And of course, I had my drama, my fine arts, learning a language, My chosen one was French and a little bit of Japanese. I don't know any of it now, but yeah, I also loved music, and I was very passionate about the things that I was good at. And, often I found that the things that I wasn't good at, I just didn't put any effort into because, when you're passionate about something as an INFP, you just fight for it. That's how I found it anyway. Unfortunately, not everyone saw this dream world of mine in the same light that I did. And I mean, even people close to me misunderstood it in the way that they thought that I was either weird or just away with the fairies, like strange or even stupid. And, I used to feel quite offended by that because I know that when I would enter that kind of world, it wasn't because I was stupid or, blonde, which is what I've been called before. It's just a place where I would go to create, and it was my safe space. I couldn't find any other space in this world for me to just go within myself and to find those treasures that come out in such artistic and original ways. So yeah, it has been quite upsetting that, there are those people that just don't get it. Our dream world is so important, and I feel that that is where we access our introverted feeling, because of course our introverted feeling is the seed to everything that we create and, just being individual. These dream worlds allow us to be abstract and analytical and think really outside the box. I mean, for instance, if you look at a tree, as an INFP, you don't see that tree as just a tree, a bunch of atoms and we need it to live. As INFPs, we look at that tree and wonder what kind of wisdom that it has to share with the world and what makes that tree that tree. It's like it almost has a personality. And, that's how I see it, at least. It's more than a tree. I often find myself attracted to trees that have lost its leaves and, the ones with the really windy branches. There's something so beautiful about it. Maybe because most people find big trees with fluffy leaves on it really beautiful, but being an INFP, I really like the underdog kind of view to things. And yeah, so there's just something about those really windy old looking trees that I just look at and think, you're special. There's something about you that's really special. I know I kind of sound a little bit strange right now. Now, of course, extroverted intuition deals with developing an idea and expressing it. And to do that, as INFPs, introverts, we need to take that time away to really internalize and deeply think about what we're wanting to express and how to express it. It also takes a lot of time for the INFP to develop these really abstract ideas. And so the mix of both introversion and time can really result in the INFP doing things and expressing themselves in ways that aren't kind of mundane. For instance, me personally, I find it really hard to just be able to talk and to express my feelings just right off the bat. I feel that I really need the time and the space to really internalize my feelings and what I'm really wanting to say and write them down. See, if I was angry at someone and I wanted to express my anger and my feelings, I wouldn't just tell them I'm angry at you. I would have to kind of take some space away from the situation, really think about my feelings and feel them and find the exact word to express exactly what I'm meaning. So it wouldn't be anger. It would be something like inferno or rage or, anything else that you could associate with being angry. And, a lot of the time I have to look at the thesaurus to find that precise meaning because anger just doesn't justify exactly what I'm meaning. And, the reason why I do that is because I want that person to know exactly down to a T what I'm feeling. and to be able to empathize and not just flick it off like, oh, she's angry or, whatever. It's important to me that as a person that I get heard, my authentic self gets heard. Now, of course, we use that time and that space to create things that are really positive and things that we're really passionate about. Like, for instance, a few years ago, I was working on this novel. It was like a sci-fi fantasy kind of thing. And I had so much fun just, creating these characters and these characters' culture, because they're from this different planet. And it was a place that I just wish that I lived in, or I lived on. I kind of created the most epic place for me as an INFP to live. And, I think that's one of the things that being an INFP and having our dream world, I think that's what makes it really enjoyable, is that we get to create these different ways to express ourselves that kind of take us away from reality into these different alternate universes. And I think that's really cool. Now, I want to share with you some celebrity INFP types that have been successful, who have made a lot of money. Of course, these are people who are present and who have passed as well. I want to start off with J.R.R. Tolkien. I have such a soft spot for Tolkien, of course, because I'm in love with The Hobbit, and with my dad reading me The Hobbit as a kid. I also love The Lord of the Rings, and I love the films as well. And I just look up to Tolkien. I just think he's the ultimate INFP role model. So, yeah, this quote is from Tolkien. I was, from early days, grieved by the poverty of my beloved country. I had no stories of its own, not of the quality that I sought and found as an ingredient in legends of other lands. I had a mind to make a body of more or less connected legend, ranging from the large and cosmogonic to the level of romantic fairy story, which I could dedicate simply to England, to my country. This one is from George R.R. Martin, which is the author of The Game of Thrones. In my imagination, I can come up with anything that I want. I can make things very large and very colourful. Now, what does that sound like? I think that kind of sounds like an INFP. John Lennon, reality leaves little to the imagination. Johnny Depp, if there is any message to my work, it is that it's okay to be different. I absolutely love Johnny Depp. I just respect him so much as an actor, seriously. Nicolas Cage, my imagination was my saviour in my childhood. I was able to imagine things weren't bad, or I could go into the backyard and transform myself into an astronaut or some other character and play for hours. Now, of course, there are other INFP legends such as Virginia Woolf, William Shakespeare, Lana Del Rey, and Princess Diana, just to name a very few. But you kind of get the idea that just because, being an INFP, you have people who judge you and think your dream world's weird and think that you're weird and that you're kind of stupid and, away with the fairies or not with reality, that doesn't make you any less of a person, or that also doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. And obviously, we have those kinds of people to prove it. I think it's really important to be yourself and to embrace this dream world. I feel as INFPs we can be quite self-critical, and we have that perfectionism that we try and live up to these certain standards. And of course, there are those standards that society set for us that can become quite disheartening. So, we can compare ourselves to other people who might be successful by traditional standards, but I think at the end of the day, just being yourself and being happy is the most ultimate success, and people can just say what they want, really. You're lovely the way that you are, and you really, really shouldn't change. Now, just before I go, I want to mention that I have a new Facebook, which I'll put the link in the description box. I kind of thought that it was time to make one. actually didn't have one before. So yeah. And of course, some of you guys know that my partner James is part of an electropop duo called Jimmy Moore and Cassidy. They've just recently finished tracking their album, and that's going to be out really soon. So I'll let you guys know, and I really hope you check them out because they're awesome. And I'm not just saying that from a biased perspective. But for now, I hope you have a really good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. We'll see you all again next time. Bye!